Right, I'm seeing these marriages that are having a hard time, and I think we just don't know what our role is in these marriages.
We don't.
I mean, I think there's some just real simple concepts that we're going to talk about in this podcast that's going to really help some folks.
Let's talk about it.
Welcome to the Called to Love podcast, a show dedicated to exploring how human relationships and intimacy with God are connected. Join us as we discuss hard-hitting topics that inspire and motivate you to go deeper into the intricacies of building meaningful relationships. Here now are your hosts, James Levacy and Brian Canadle.
Brian, there's so many ways that we can have a great marriage. It's just, if we just take a few principles and some basic fundamentals, we can apply it to not only our marriage, but our other relationships. Because, humans, in a nutshell, they're pretty much all the same. They have certain desires, they have certain needs, but they're in a context of a relationship with God, they're misguided most of the time because we place things in His place. And we can think that we have a real healthy marriage, and because we're meeting each other's desires and their needs and things like that. But I found even in these situations to where things are, sex is okay in the marriage, but it can turn into like this real lustful situation to where that's what it's turned into, and it's not real pure because it's not about the union of this other person, and we're coming together in this purity and we're chasing after God spiritually, and we want to be close to Him, and we're more interested in chasing the other one, trying to get what we can get from them, and we lose sight of God, and then we start getting down on Him because He put me with this person that's not meeting my needs. And then it just turns into this real unhealthy thing. So then we become codependent. We become, these people that think, my wife's just not doing it for me, but this girl at work, she's always sweet to me. And this other person is always sweet. How come you're not nice to me like these other people are nice? And next thing you know, the marriage is falling apart. And if we're not in this intimate relationship with God, we're always talking about this. You can't have a pure, healthy relationship with your spouse, period. You just can't do it. You're going to want other things from them that only God can meet. And I found that with God, the closer I am to Him, the less desires I have to take from my wife or my friends. It turns you into this person that wants to give. It turns you into this person that wants to satisfy other people, to give to other people more than to take. And I've said this before. I don't know where I got this from, but maybe it's an original. You can't. Okay, here's how it goes. My wife can't give me something if I'm always taking it. Does that make sense?
That's right.
If I'm always taking it, when can she ever give it? Like if she wanted to do something nice for me and say, you know what, I'm going to do something special for you. But every day I take it. Well, when's going to be that special occasion she can say, you know what, I'm doing this because I want to. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And if you become this overbearing person that's always wanting to get, nobody can ever give because you're always trying to get yours. Does that make sense?
It does. And if the culture today has created the persona that you have forgotten all about yourself, it's time to put yourself first. It's time to look out for yourself because no one is. So everything is about self-focus, self-awareness, self-identity, self-reliance, even self-gratification. But all of these statements or words lead to one final self-destruction. And the Bible is very clear about what happens to self. We were never meant to look inward. We were always meant to look upward and look outward. And that's where we find our value, our purpose, our desires being met. And so when it comes to the culture says, you know what? Everything is conditional. You can open the door for someone, but the moment they no longer meet your needs, wants, and desires, you're going to have to become self-reliant. And that's because no one's meeting those expectations. The journey that you and I have found 9 years ago when we met and went on that journey, and we've shared it before on previous podcasts, what happened to us is the Lord shined a light on our selfishness. He shined a light on on the unmet expectations that we placed on everyone. And what it did is he showed how he was not selfish, but that he was kind, and that he was long-suffering towards us, and that he had a plan and a purpose for us. And it was not for us to find our identity in ourselves or find value in ourselves. It's to look at him and let him show us the value he placed on us and the value he placed on others, and how relationships are intricately affected by our relationship with him. And so the closer we move to him, the smoother, the better, the more we're able to bring something that people don't ordinarily have. So, we just talked about our last podcast about me just recently getting married. My identity in the role I play as a husband in my relationship is, my greatest goal is for her not to see me, but her to see the Father in me and see my relationship with him. That removes those expectations for her. I already accept her. She doesn't have to do anything. She's a complement to a relationship I've already been in. I was in a love affair when I met her. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there's something bigger than me. And so that is what we are finding. The culture is all about self-preservation, self-surviving. Everything is about, I got to protect me. No one else is looking out for me. At the moment I'm being misused or misguided or mistreated, walls go up. I go into self-preservation, and that's not the journey. Love hopes all things. It believes all things. It endures all things. Love never fails. People do. Marriage never fails. People do.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah.
I was hoping you'd bring up love. There's a concept that I had to come to terms with, because I was married once. So, it's no secret. I've talked about that several times. But I've got the perfect marriage now, not because I'm perfect, not because my wife's perfect, not because our kids are perfect. It doesn't have anything to do with it. It's the way I see her is perfect. I always wondered, how can God see us as perfect without spot or blemish, and Christ dying for us and washing us, with the water and all this? How can God still see us perfect? But I've come to understand through my spouse of this unconditional love, and it's not on accident, it's on purpose. I've said a lot of times, I feel the same towards my wife, whether we're making love or we're yelling or something's going on and there's a tense situation. I don't change the way I feel about her because there's a disagreement. I don't change the way I feel about her because she's more affectionate toward me. I just feel the same way towards her all the time. And again, that wasn't on accident. That was an intentional thing. That was on purpose. That was me thinking, do I love her less because she's mad at something? Or do I love her the same? And my conclusion was, I love her the same. That's what unconditional love means. I I just have an opinion that if we would love people unconditionally, especially our spouse, that we would have this wonderful experience in the marriage. I mean, practice it. You know, if you're watching this, practice it next time. Let's just say your spouse gets mad at you, okay? And it's your fault or not. It doesn't even matter. But let's just say they got mad at you and they voiced a communication to you. And you looked at it from this perspective of, hey, I'm learning something here. She doesn't like what is going on here, and I need to pay attention to what's going on. I had a guy, for example, I was meeting with him, and he was talking about how they were always having problems and fighting about this and that. And he said, so I did this the other day. I got up extra early, and I made her breakfast. And I made the eggs, and I made, everything that I knew she liked. And you know what she told me? I didn't put enough pepper on the eggs. And I just went off. And I got so mad because she didn't say, thank you, baby, for making me eggs and making my toast and everything like that. She got mad about the amount of pepper I didn't put on the eggs. And I said, dude, she just communicated with you the way she likes her eggs. You could make a note of that and just understand that she feels comfortable enough with you that she can tell you so that next time you get it right. You could learn that. And he's like, I never thought of it like that. But think of it like this. What happens when she stops telling you what she don't like? What happens when she just doesn't talk anymore? And then it's like, baby, what's going on? Nothing? Come on, baby, I know something's bothering you. No, there's nothing bothering me. Next thing you know, your marriage is falling apart, and you're wondering, how come she never talks to me? Well, it may be because you fly off the handle when she tells you don't put enough pepper on her eggs. So what else can she tell you, or what else can she not tell you? It's just a simple concept, if we just be intentional about it.
That's why, at least for you and I, we can't do marriage without, it's a three-stranded cord. It's not just me and my wife. It's me, my wife, and the Lord. And when I look at her, and I say, I'm looking at you in Jesus, it really challenges you on how you conduct yourself, or you're quick to forgive. You give up your right to be right when you get married. To hear the favorite things I hear guys say is, the only thing I do is to hear is to obey. Yes, dear, or whatever, dear. But it's more than that. There's something about dying to yourself and preferring other people. Isn't it interesting? It's kindness that moves people to the kindness of the Father that moves people to repentance. Yeah, it's not judgment.
Yeah.
But yet, isn't it interesting? That's the same thing. It's kindness that moves people to say, I yelled at you and you're giving me something I don't deserve. You're giving me kindness. You're showing patience. You're giving me love. I don't deserve that. Why are you doing that to me? Every other relationship I was in told me they didn't love me. They wanted a divorce. They're done. They're through. They're whatever. But you don't do that.
Yeah.
They're just waiting for it,
I think it's a form of trust. Like, I know from my experiences, men have certain characteristics, women do too. I don't think it's sexist to say that. I think women are just by nature are more emotional. They care about things. They get excited about things if they don't go right, like for weddings or birthdays or things like that. And they need somebody to vent to. They need somebody to kind of uppercut every once in a while and say, hey, this is not a good day for me, and you're in the way, or you're doing it wrong, or this ain't right. And the confidence and trust it takes to do that to someone and know in your heart that this is not going to affect our relationship. That's huge. Have you ever thought of that? That you're actually being strong for them when they're being weak and being emotional, you're able to take it for them. And then later on, what happens? Just about every time. babe, I'm sorry. I was so emotional. I just, everything was going wrong. I had all these deadlines to meet and everything like that. I'm so sorry the way I talked to you. It's okay, baby. But that'll never happen if you just bite back.
Well,
It'll backfire
you don't
on
fight
you
fire
every
with
time.
fire. You know.
Exactly. So, we're talking about just some simple concepts that, it's okay to be the man in your marriage and take a few licks on the chin every once in a while, not physically, but you know what I mean? And just give them the trust or honor the trust that they're giving you by knowing that they have somebody they know they can, lean into, and it doesn't matter, I don't feel like you're going to tuck and run when I talk to you like this. It's a different perspective to look at it. But I think if we do take that approach to it, our wives are going to be more happy. They're going to feel more secure, and they're going to feel like they can communicate.
That's good.
Yeah. Works for kids too.
It does, because they're completely different in their personalities, and where one takes discipline really hard and willing to change, the other one's got, is that all you got?
Mm-hmm.
So you just got to be able, every position that we're in has to be a position, really, to me, of the Heavenly Father. And His position is, I'm a father, I love you, you're my child. And I'm saying in the marriage, there are times where you will take a more spiritual father role and model what's missing or what's absent. That's love or grace or patience. You do it, you'll be shocked when you're weak and find your spouse doing the same thing for you. You never know.
Yeah. I see a mistake. A lot of times I've done it myself, but I've come to recognize it. We'll want to shut a kid down. Kid comes in and he's mad or upset, or she's, something happened at school, and she comes in, she just don't want to talk to anybody. And I've seen parents, try to pry that out of them. And like, you're not going to come in here and have that kind of attitude. And the kid will just be like, why can't I? Why can't I just express my emotions? Why do I have to, So what we're teaching them is we're teaching them to be fake. I don't care if you come in here mad, you're going to have to hide it. And that's where it starts. So what do we start teaching them? We start teaching them that as they grow up, they're going to have to hide their feelings. They're going to have to, if they're feeling bad, they can't say anything because they're not allowed. They can't have emotions. We forbid them to have emotions because of the way it makes us feel. You're making me feel like I failed as a parent because you're mad all the time when you come in the house over something that happened at school or something. I just want you to talk to me. Why don't you talk to me about it?
I know, bub. It happens all the time.
Yeah, it's like this vicious cycle that keeps on going. So, I think if we'll let people express their emotions, trust our spouse, love them unconditionally, be that person, be that strong person that they need us to be, it's going to be a lot better in those times where you're wanting to be intimate or kind, get into this kind of cuddly moment or something like that. It's just gonna fare better for you, and your marriage is gonna last, and they're not gonna be looking for something they can't get at home.
That's good. That's good.
So thank y'all for joining us today.
We hope this episode of the Called to Love podcast has enriched your life and offered valuable principles to apply on your personal journey. Please explore our website at www.calledto.love for more information and to share your feedback with us. Until our next episode, may you find peace and love. And always remember, you are called to love.